Yo, yo, yo. Sorry, late start. You know, shit, life gets in the way. Welcome to everybody to another heavyweight bass live stream. Hope you can all hear me in the group. And if you're watching on any other channels, sorry, late start. You know, shit, life gets in the way. Welcome to everybody to another heavyweight bass live stream. Hope you can all hear me in the group. And if you're watching on any other channels, sorry, late start. You know, shit, life gets in the way. Welcome to everybody to another heavyweight bass live stream. Hope you can all hear me in the group, and if you're watching on any other channels, sorry, late start. You know, shit, life gets in the way. Welcome to everybody to another heavyweight bass. All right, drum processing. That's what we're going to have a look at today. The biggest thing that I see with like drums is just people not choosing the right sounds to begin with. So sound choice is really important. I mean, this is a client track that I'm about to start mixing, so the drums need a lot of work, but the biggest thing that I will say to people is make sure that you get the right sound choice at the beginning. Source sound is the most important thing. Like, so many people are just picking weak drums. If you have to use, you know, more than a couple of kicks to get the sound that you want, then you're not using the right sounds. If you need to be stacking up loads of kicks to get the one kick sound that you want, or the snare sound that you want, or the clap, etc., you're just not using the right sound to start with. You know, less is more, and it's the same with like sounds. So making sure you get good source material to start with is super key. I think it's one of the biggest issues that I definitely see. So for me, sampling other people's records, you know, people might say, you know, it's can't take from other people, but we've been doing it since the dawn of dance music. It's where it all started, sampling other records. So yes, taking kicks that are clean from somebody else's record that don't need much processing, the sound that you want, or just good sample packs. You know, Luke Masters do some really good stuff. The deadmau5 kick drum sample pack that he did a few years ago is amazing. There's loads of really good kick drums in there. Or just basically getting them from the records, but making sure that the sample's clean. Do you know what I mean? You don't want any bits around it. You've got to make sure that you sample from the clean part of it if it's there. So let's have a listen to the drums in this track, and I'll show you some of the things that I do just to kind of beef drums up, get them sounding bigger. So they're going for, obviously this track, they're going for a kind of a live feel, but the drums, if you hear the drums in the mix when it's playing, it's not cutting through. Let's just play the drums in this loop. We'll just play the drums again with the rest of the music, and you hear how it's not cutting through. So I'll show you some of the things that I would do to help get these drums cutting through. So let's have a listen. I mean, you can feel the kick, it's sub there, but you can't really hear any definition from it. And that is quite prominent, kind of glued into the rest of it. So obviously the rest of the track needs to be mixed around it as well. But first thing, let's have a look at this kick. There's two kicks that they're using in this. Alright, so we got this kick, the low end, this kit, which is giving you the front of the attack. Let's group them together. I was having a conversation with some people in one of the drum and bass groups this week, and I was talking about the basics, how people always want to get, like, you know, fancy techniques to make things sound bigger, you know, well, this technique and this technique. But what they forget about are the core basics, and that's 70% of your mix. If you get those basics right, that's, you know, that's 70% of your mix done. And one of the big ones for me is correct bandpass filtering, getting your things cut so that everything's, you know, sitting correctly. So with kicks, you're making sure you cut away the low end. If you've got two kicks here, making sure that you cut correctly so that there's not low end clashing, and you get rid of any bits that are unwanted. So these two kicks have both got a little bit low, the low end in them, so make a decision which one's going to be the low end and which one will be the top end. So that's the two kicks side by side. Look at them all kind of fighting for the same area. Let's bring both of them in. Do you hear how the weight of the bottom one disappears when the top kick comes in? That's because it's got clashing with the low end in it all. If we take that out, you feel the weight come back in. Let's get rid of some at low end. Do you feel it now? Do you feel the low end of the other kick appear? So if I take this, if I bypass this, so that's all the low end in there, and you hear all the phasing issues. It's cancelling the low end out. That's with the high pass filter on. Cleans it all up, makes it instantly tighter. So that's instantly tighten the kicks up. I mean, that's just a simple bit of EQ. It's the basics, guys. It's the basics that people forget to do a lot of the time. So it's really important. So let's get some high pass on this one, low pass. Get rid of the unwanted bits at the top. Decide the filter slope that you want. Cleans it out. Let's get rid of this, into it with and without. I mean, I don't know if you can hear it if you're listening on here, but for me it's like a dramatic change. Without that EQ, you can't hear any definitions to the kicks. Put that EQ in, the low end just appears and it's all tight and crisp. Let's have a look at this kick, see what some EQing does to this one. So this is the bottom, this is the low end kick. So we can get rid of this at down here anyway. 20 hertz. And a lot of people cut at 30 and stuff, it just depends. I'll play between 30 and 20 hertz. Make this one a bit of a sharper. Too much. Smooth smoother slope is nicer. So already that kick's just tightened right up. Just add the snare into it now. To me, I do want to make a decision on whether I want to compress that kick on its own or whether I want to compress it with like as all the drums together. So I reckon the kick needs just a bit of compression on its own. So what I would do, I don't tend to put much processing on individual channels. What I'll do is add another bus, para kick. So I do most of my processing as parallel. So I've created this bus channel and I'm sending the kick to it. Here they are. So then this second one I'm just gonna like heavily compress it or maybe put some saturation on it. Let's just try. I kind of just go with like, you can use any compressor. Generally you can go long attack, letting everything through, short release so it's snappy, kind of, you know, 4:1, maybe even higher ratio, take about 8 dB off really heavy compression. I quite like the Supercharger. It's more like an 1176 style compressor. Got these presets in there that are nice, the parallel kick stuff. Take off about 10 dB. Blend that in underneath. So I'm creating another bus to send the kicks to, because I'm then going to send the rest of the drums to that and process some of them together with some saturation. So let's just take these, send that to the drum bus. Now that the kick's a bit more prominent, unwanted low end down there, you don't need it. Let's get rid of it. Again as well, bits down there, we can get rid of that. A bit of the hat poking out in that loop, so I just want to smooth that one out a little bit. One of the other things I find is it's just that low mid area on a lot of these loops is always a little bit weak. So the energy and fullness of a track is always going to be the low mids, that kind of 160 to say 1K 1500 area is is where that fullness of a track comes from. And one of the things people do is they cut a lot out of that area, and it makes the track sound thin and hollow. So what I try to do is I'm forever like, for a start, just don't cut that much out of it. And secondly, I'm always trying to add things like 200 weight to snares and claps, etc., and just making things sound a little bit fuller down there. Let's have a look. Got some questions. Samir, yeah, no, I don't strip silence. Nah. Like, I might do if there's like people are using like noisy stems, if they're using like Waves plugins, but this one doesn't, so I just don't bother anymore. I used to be super anal about all that kind of stuff, but yeah, not anymore, I'm afraid. Just time consuming for no benefit. I might just go in and as I said, if there's Waves plugins and there's noise on there, but the rest of the time you just don't notice it, so I don't bother anymore. The difference of that kick without the parallel channel. Oh no, mate, not with modern computers. Not worried about load at all. CPU, this shit goes for days now. Don't need to worry about it. What's that, Spiky? Not execute you, by the way. I cannot seem to execute Klaus. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm not sure what execute means. Another little tom layer here. What's that doing? Yeah, so it's just, let's have a look. Can't even really hear it. Do you see all that horrible little low end? This tom layer, I don't even really know what it's doing. So it's just hitting the same as the kicks. Alright. It's one of those, for me, it's a bit of an unnecessary part, maybe a bit of a vibe on top. We'll have a listen. Ah, it's the big clap. Let's just send that. don't need to cut all that low end out of the snares. Yeah, Ben. Like I'm pretty old school when it comes to the high and the low pass filters. I think people forget a lot of the basics. I really do. Like I listen to so many tracks that people send me, and everyone tries to overcomplicate things. You know, they try to do fancy things, but it's the core basics, and people are forgetting. You know, get your bandpass filters set up, your low, your high pass, your low pass. Work out what's going to sit where in a mix, what you want to do, and then it will all come together a lot quickly. I mean, like with this snare, it's like just, you know, get rid of that unnecessary bits at the bottom, get rid of the bits at the top that you don't want, and then you can work out where it's going to sit. And it's just the same with the way I was working on the kicks beforehand. It's just, you know, how it all tightens together. If you do the fundamentals, the basics, it's 70% of your mix. I think people overcomplicate everything. You know, yeah, you can do all this fancy stuff, but it's, you know, did they do that in the 60s when they were back working on just desks, when all they had was their EQ on the desk and that's it? None of these fancy plugins. It's, you know, there's fundamentals that we've learned throughout the history of recording and mixing that are key to every mix, and if you just need to do them. And that's what I try to drum into people. So yeah, I am not the most technical of mixers when it comes to stuff like this at all. I just don't think you need to be. I think it's all about just getting things sitting in the right place. So I'm a big fan of like trying to add in a bit of weight on these claps and snares as well. I don't think a lot of people make their claps and snares too hollow, so I love giving a little bit of weight at like 200 hertz down there. Another good little trick. I don't know if this will work in here, but if you want to add some weight to the track, you can always try using Waves R bass. Stick that on. People think about, you know, for a bass, but you just dial in the frequency that you want. Let's dial in 200. And then dial in the amount of intensity that you want. Boom, there you go, weight in the snare. Without, I mean, with. Sorry, I mean, there's probably a bit too much, but that's another little trick. It's always good for adding some low-end weight into tracks. If you haven't got this plugin yet, I suggest you go and buy it. It's fucking phenomenal. I've got the hardware unit that I use just on virtually every like sort of, you know, stem mix master thing that I do. It's just awesome plugin. Saturation, just you know, it's good at adding level. It's good at adding character. Can add low end, can add high end. Can just make things sound beefier, make things sound louder. You know, we can add more punch without actually adding level. It's like adds like, you know, can add RMS. It's a really, you know, good multi-purpose plugin, and it's great on drums. add some level to it as well and some beef, but I'll give you some kind of try and level match things a bit before and after. So without, that's with. So this section here is a parallel section. So this saturation here is you're blending the parallel underneath. Low is just the low end. Flat is the full range, so it's the whole part of the bus, so it's everything, you know, the whole track or the whole drum loop, whatever you're using, all the frequency. High is just the high end. So I've decided to saturate across the whole thing, and this is your kind of how much you want to add. Alternative tube is just like an alternative tube section, a little bit more aggressive, adds a little bit more distortion to it. This plugin works a bit different because the pentode section feeds the triode. So if you drive this to here, it's driving this section as well. So you need to play around with it a little bit. Sometimes you can get some different results by pushing the pentode section a lot harder and then reining in the triode this way. Generally, you know, or vice versa. This air section here is literally, it's a high shelf. And you can add the amount that you do top end. So let's have a listen. Just adds a nice bit of sparkle. Alex, not sure if it's just me, but the stream is very blurry. I think it's probably you, mate. I think you just need to kind of have a look at it. If not, have a look at YouTube. It's running up on YouTube as well. Normally probably a higher resolution there. I'm just checking the live chat. Fuck me, I forgot there was live chat on YouTube. Moslobs, hey man, would you do a live feedback on the track? This feedback on drum processing is so valuable. Yeah, why not? You know, post a link up in the chat and we can have a listen. Actually, send me a quick download link, and I'll not SoundCloud, something else, and I'll download it and we'll put it in an arrangement and we'll have a listen. Moz Labs, that was on YouTube. So that, not in what of it, I've been streaming like half hour, 20 minutes, and already the drums are so much better. It's just, you know, it's taking a bit of care, fundamentals, the basics. You know, I can't express, you know, bandpass filtering, getting your high pass and low pass set right. How important that is, just getting those unwanted bits and making space for stuff. You know, once you've got your kick sounding right, you can bring your bass in, and then you can make a little bit of room in between the bass and the kicks so they all sit better. Something else I don't mind, I sometimes do, is I might use a little bit of dynamic EQ on the drum bass to add a little bit of movement. width. There's quite a bit of like level been added there, so it's obviously you get that kind of, you know, louder is better trick there. But what I tend to do with the dynamic EQ is I'll just pick 3 bands, you know, low, mid, and top, and just do really like a little bit of subtle increases. There's no actual gain added, just the dynamics, so that the dynamic EQ is active when the sound is playing, and it gives some actual movement. You can feel that the top end is reacting to the hats, so you're getting a little bit of movement with the hats, and it adds a little bit more kind of excitement to stuff. Same with the middle area, same with the low end. The low end is just reacting to where, you know, when the kick is coming in, so you just get a little bit of movement there, and it makes it just a little bit more exciting. Add some extreme, and then you can hear the parts that it's working on. The dynamic EQ is also quite good if you want to if you want to make space as well. You know, like the kick's hitting at a point when the bass is there as well, so I can add a little bit of dynamic EQ to duck the low end part of some of the drum bass when the bass is hitting, or vice versa, instead of like EQing stuff out. So that's another good little trick that you can use on your drum bass, make things just a little bit more exciting. Let's just mute the bus. Let's bypass the bus effects. So that's without. That's with just a lot more movement in the top end. You want that sparkle this day and age as well. So let's just read some of the comments. A few people are posting up. Give me a sec. All that. My comments have just disappeared. Let's have a look. Not sure if it's just me, but the stream's very blurry. Tim's stream. There was another Timmy. Did you just post something else? I saw something a second ago from you. Alright, no, let's have a go back to the YouTube one. Sure thing, mate. Stems or just a master? Just message you on. Alright, Moz Labs has just sent me a track, so we can put someone else's track in. Let's go. Moz Labs, where are you? Oh, it's Chris Nelson. Alright, there we go. I'm downloading now, Chris. Alright, so we're going to listen to one of the Heavyweight Bass group members' tracks, and we can have a go from there. Alright. Downloaded. If you've got any more questions, post them up. Tim, I thought I saw something for you, but I think I just might have missed it then. Not sure now. But let's have a listen to this track. Is it a Ferry Corsten thing? Is that what it is? Yeah. Yeah, how fucking loud that is.
Are we animated? Are we animated? If you lose heart or the fibrillate, are we animated? Are we animated? Are we animated? Are we animated? Are we animated?
All right. So for me, I like the kick is too punchy, like too attacky at the front, so it's a bit too clicky and not enough roundness to it. Like, so for me, I don't think that's the right kick for the track for a start. So I think there's just too much attack on it, too much front end, too much like click, not enough roundness, not enough kind of fullness to it. So I don't know. Like for me, I just think you've just picked the wrong kick for the track. That's if you want to try and make it as simple as possible, it's the wrong kick. But if you were going to just continue using that and fixing it all, I think it needs to come down in the mix. I think right now the drums are too loud, overpowering. The kick could definitely come down. I didn't mind the. Let me listen again on the clap. I didn't mind the clap. I'm just not a fan of those. It's the front of that kick. Do you hear that? Like the attack on it. I'm just not a fan of those ones. I think it kind of it's a little bit too piercing and cracking on the ears, and I just prefer like fuller, rounder kicks with not as much attack. So I would probably rein that front end of it in. Elements are nice though. The rest of the percussion elements around the side, the hats and stuff, and there's some nice like separation and width to the hi-hats in the left and the right channels. I would probably get like the percussion and try and make the percussion bits a little bit wider. Like I like to go with the drums. I like to go like mono 200 hertz and down, and then 200 hertz to like 8K can be nice and wide, and then 8K up again can start to mono it off because it's it's up there and it kind of gets a bit anyway, so you can start monoing off. So those kind of mid areas you can make it a little bit wider. It's nice from like 800 to like 1500. You can get that kind of area and make things wider. So I would look at them, those hats and percussion-y parts, make them a bit wider. The biggest thing for me is the kick. It's what I said at the beginning of the stream. Don't take offense, but it's like a weak kick. You could get a much better kick. And it would solve a lot of the issues. It's just that front of it is what annoys me. It's kind of too prominent, too stand out. You just want something bigger and rounder. Hold on, I'm going back and read your comments now. Sorry, Chris, I was in the too much sidechain. For sure, going to try it out with some different kicks. It could be the side chain, could be the way the bass is ducking down when the kick hits, so that front end is a little bit too prominent. For me, I just feel like there's too much attack, too much front end on the kick. As I've said quite a few times, I seem to be repeating myself. To try different kicks, as I said, I just prefer something a bit rounder, a bit fuller, without that sort of clicky, attacky bit at the front. Also, just a little bit more weight in the claps again, which is what I was working on before. I like, it's something I picked up years ago from Chris Allen, who's one of my favourite mix engineers and a member of the group, which was like just that weight down from like 200 hertz, 200, 400 in the snares, just giving a little bit of whack and fud. You just want it, and there's so many tracks now just don't have that down there, and I'm a big fan of it. And I showed you a couple of tricks that you can add that weight in that area, and it just makes that whole area sound fuller. The important part is the low mids. For me, it's all about that low mid area. It's like that's what makes the track sound full and has more impact. Sam Stapleton's asked me, what plugin would you use to manipulate the width at the different frequency like you described? Ozone. Hold on. let's show you. Let me just tidy up my project quickly. Let me just show you what well, I'll show you the whip thing on the percussion, what I would do. Let's just pick this shaker part here that's playing. Ozone Imager. You can pick the frequencies that you want to, you know, your bands that you want to do. You can hear here, you make things wider. With this percussion part, so there's a band there. It's extreme. Or you can mono off as well. Narrow things down. So there you go. That's the plugin I would use. Well, I tend to, I wouldn't use it on like an individual sound like that. I would group them all together on the bus, say like a percussion bus. So put the hats, maybe the toms that's in this track, hi-hats or something like that, and then do them all as a group, and then send them to the drum bus as well. I'd probably put some extra EQ on them as well. Slightly different, a little bit more top end. Let's offset drums. Let's, yeah. Right. So what I've created another perc bus. It's still going to the drum bus, but I'm going to send these percussion bits. Shaker. What else is there? I think that might be it for now. So that's all still running to the drum bus. So you can try putting the image on here. It's subtle. I don't even know if you'll be able to hear it on the stream, but it's just pushing. So the front part of the clap is got a little bit more width to it, like the sparkle, the kind of from 2K up, but it's more like sort of the 8K area as well has kind of got a little lift to it because it's pushing all the way up. And then obviously, you know, the important area is this 300 to 2K area that just makes it sound a little bit more sparkly. You know, the other thing I like to do as well is that on that bus I might add something like diamond. They're quite extreme, but just so you can hear, you can do driving into it. a little bit more open. That's it. It makes the shakers and the hat sound a little bit wider at the side. The diamond EQ is really nice. What else? What other parts we got? Big clap. We've already looked at. A little bit too wide, so just narrow that down a little bit. Alright, there you go. There's just some, just some quick tips, things I do on drums, help them sound better, some of the processing I do. Gonna call it quits there. Just wanted to do a quick stream because been sick for a few days and stuff, so. If you've got any more questions, post them up now, and I can answer some questions. And before I sign off, and then I'll post this up. People can watch it all later on. So if you've got any more questions, post them up. I'll stay on for a little bit longer. Alright, but there's no more questions. I'll do another live stream next week from in the middle of another session. Show you some other bits and pieces. Not gonna, bore you with all these kind of fucking, this is what you need to do, shit like that. I'm just gonna show you stuff that I do every day, practical stuff that just makes the mix sound better, gets you from A to B quickly. without overcomplicating things, and we'll move from there as the live streams go on. Next week we'll do I don't know, we'll do some vocal stuff or something. I'll see what work I've got. I'm going to sign off now because I need to crack on with this one, and my phone's been ringing non-stop since I've been live streaming, with record labels ringing me up. So I hope you got stuff out of that. I hope that helped. Leave feedback in the comments, let me know. I hope the sound was a bit better this time, improving as we go along, and I'll see you next week.